Welcome folks, good afternoon and welcome to the stream. Today we're going to have a look at splitters and check out the problems head on. We were having problems with them, so let's do it. But first of all, let's have a look at the issue from last night. I have fleshed out a bit the restock values that we're going to require. I've added the item, which is going to give us an enum to the actual item. Then we have base value, lower value, upper value, scarcity percentage, buying probability, selling probability, restock probability, usage probability, usage multiplier, restock level, max stock level, and current stock level. And these are going to be used in an algorithm to generate the economy for the supply ship. But that particular problem is for another day, because today we're going to look at splitters. Okay, now if we have a look at a dumb splitter, we can open this up and have a look, and we shall see from actually probably the best idea here is just to give you guys a look at what actually happens with the dumb splitter. And then that'll maybe give us a better view. Now, I'm actually hoping that if we remember the other night, we had come across a rather large problem with the conveyor belts. And that's because we had basically switched on collisions. And the collisions gave us a huge problem with frame rates and recalculating all of that stuff. So let's take a look at a splitter, and we may need to give ourselves a whole lot of money or a whole lot of resources to create all the different things that we're going to need to test this with. So without further ado, let's do that. We're going to go into our controller. We're going to look at the products available, and we've got plenty bauxite, plenty copper sheets by the looks of it. Let's have a look at the other stuff we need here. The widget, iron ore, we'll pump that to 100. Iron sheets is 100. We might need copper ore. We've got 50. We're going to pump that up. Okay. So let's have a look at our issue. And what we're going to do is we're going to first of all, we're going to look for we're going to create a miner over here. Okay. This is going to create our miner. We're going to check what the miner is, obviously, at some point. Okay, so we've got our miner. And the miner is going to create bauxite, which is fine. And what we're going to do is we're going to create our splitter, which is this one here. We shall create it here. we can rotate it like so. So basically the splitter is going to take in one input and output these three things, okay? So now what we need to do is create a building, and we'll create it over here. We shall do the same again over here, and we shall test it out to see how it goes. Okay. So what we can do is create our conveyor from here. Build it to there. Okay. We can spin this one round. And we can build it here. Okay, we'll try that again because that wasn't awfully good. Can build it to there. And now what we can do is we can bring in our product. And we can now see it splitting. Which is all working properly. And that's a bit of a surprise, to be honest. So what we'll do from here is we shall create our so that's now going there, and we can do the same here. Okay. And there we go. And that's okay. this is going to do its initial flurry. And then it's going to obviously slow down, right? So we now have this kind of working properly. And it would appear that our original problem is kind of solved. Okay, so it looks like the collision was causing the issues with the splitter. And we now don't have that issue anymore. Now, the one issue we do have is this has only got 2 workers. Okay. Now, I think we can hit the up button a few times, which may in fact give us, yeah, a lot of workers. So you can now see the products are coming out a heck of a lot faster. So that's all working properly. Our stuff is getting split there as we would like. And everything is tickety-boo. And if we check our outliner, so controller, we have products available, and it's actually iron ore that we're looking at, because everything's getting set to iron ore. We have that is steadily going up. Okay. And the interesting thing here is, what I want to know is, yeah, that seems to be 5 as well, so we're now beginning to get some output. The iron ore seems to be going, we've added more workers. So we're now at full speed on the miner. We're on full speed on the workers here. Yep. And we can take it from here. So we're getting a nice steady flow here. This main refiner is probably not working at full speed, let's say. But yeah, looking good. And as you can see, we're making lots of cash. Or what we can do is we can sell all our ore, and yeah, we are beginning to get a bit of a game, dare I say. Here's our splitter. Working well. We don't have any graphics that change on this. Probably a smoky stack would be the thing right there. We could do that. When it's processing, you'll see that the actual miner spins around. But yeah, and we are already up to 75 again. Now the thing I want to do here is press stop, and we don't have any errors. And that was the thing I was worried about, that we'd have some errors there, but we don't. So relatively speaking, that splitter issue that I thought I had, I actually don't have it. Not that particular error anyway. So we're going to have to think of something else to work on if that's working properly. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. Right, here's what I'm going to do. We're going to test our game again, right? Except this time we're going to do a probe, and we're actually going to do 2 miners. And we're actually going to add them together. And it would appear that we've blown it. Okay, let's have another look here. So we've got 1 miner, right? And it's copper ore, which is fine. What we really want here is another copper ore, if possible. And just in case, what we shall do is we'll create another miner there. Okay, and then we'll check from there what miners we get, and we'll actually test out the combiner as well. So that's bauxite. Okay, so what we shall do is we'll just keep firing off probes here. We'll check what this one is. This is a bauxite, right? So we've got bauxite here, bauxite here. And what we could do is Now this might absolutely screw everything, but we'll try it anyway because we're kind of crazy that way. We want to really see what this is. And what is it? Please be a bauxite. Of course it's a copper ore. Right, okay, whatever. Right, so fire more probes. We really want that third bauxite. Well, it doesn't actually matter. We can have a third bauxite or we can have a third copper. Then we can try our combiner. Okay. So, come on. So let's face it, whatever way we do it here, we're going to basically put our combiner here. And apparently we can't rotate our combiner, which is not good. As well as we can't delete it. Awesome. So we need to do a bit of code in there. Right, so what was this last thing? It was copper, would you believe? So as I was saying, that's a bit of a pain. So we shall stick down another probe. Now we really need this to rotate. So we could probably go with that idea of updating the code for this, but it means we need to actually go through the whole process of all our little probes again and building our miners again. Okay, so we have our miner. And let's see what it is. It's the one we want. It's our bauxite. Now we know that this is going to go this way, right? So in theory, the best way to do this is to build it about here. Okay, and then what we can do is we can build our refineries here. We can build another one, let's say here. Oh, that's the wrong thing. Oh yeah, it's not active yet. Right. So what we want to do here is build our refinery here, and we can build another one here. Okay, so now what we can do is we can go back, and basically this one's a bauxite, this one's a bauxite, and this one's a bauxite, right? So in theory, what we can do is we can simulate a 3x2. Okay, and this one we can basically do that. Then we can build that to there. Now we know right, so that so we can now build our connection here. And we should start getting double. And as you can see, we are. And now what we can do is we can rotate around. We can now connect this one. And there we go. And as you can see, we have basically a lot of stuff. I did that completely wrong because I should have did a splitter. But you can now see combiners and splitters working. Okay, we can add to our workers. We now have full workers. And this should now give us like triple barrels. Okay. And if we actually plug this into a warehouse, right, which is way up there, this should really go completely bonkers. Right, we need to click on that. And now we can join this onto there. And we now see the barrels joining on here. And now we can click on our controller and the selling or our products available, and it's not that one, and it's not iron sheet, it's this one here, iron ore, is going to immediately shoot up, or at least it's going to start shooting up. There we go, 101, 102, 3, 4. And as you can see, it is, it's basically giving us 1 a second. So in fact 60 a minute. Right, so what we need to do is we need to change the combiner to have the same code as the splitter for rotating, basically. Okay, so we need to find the rotation button. We need to copy this as well. Okay, and not that. And is it going to be that? No, not that. We've got something on event tick there which shouldn't be, so we're going to have a look at that. And it's on our Z button. Right, now is that an action? We're going to have to look at project settings for rotate left and rotate right. Resupply ship, left click, rotate object clockwise, rotate object counterclockwise. Okay, so I'm guessing it's going to be probably in the FE controller. So we check out the graph. And this is the selected object, so let's check on that, add breakpoint there. And we can do this without building anything. All we need to do basically is build our thing, and the selected object is none. So we need to set the selected object. Okay, so I'm imagining that code is going to be when we hover over it, right? So it's going to be this code here. So we might actually get away with just doing this copy and going into our conveyor, then going to our combiner, Okay. Now this one does it. So in actual fact, all we need to do here, okay, all we actually need to do here is delete that and join these two back. Okay. We can join those two in. That should be hovered, and that's unhovered. And is it let's just check. Yep. Okay, so that should be us for rotating our recombiner or combiner. Okay, so we can go in here again, click on that, resume, and that didn't do it. So we need to go into our combiner and this code should not be here. Let's have a look at our splitter again. And our splitter does not have that code at all. So we shall remove it from the combiner. Okay. So go in there. This one pops in here. We can do that. Okay. Let me grab a wee little drink here. So if we play that and we go for it again, and now we have our selected object, we should be able to disable that. And resume. And there we go. So we can stop that, and what we'll do is we shall test this again. We're going to set our probes. You know what, the funny thing is that the actual lack of sound is beginning to annoy me now. It's very, very obvious. And the other thing that's really annoying me is that particle effect not actually doing anything. We do want to check what these two things are. Okay. and it looks to me as if we've gotten stuck. Our little dude that was going to build our mine got stuck, which isn't going to happen in the finished game, but it's a bit of a pain in the neck. So what we'll do in the meantime is we'll build one out here so it can't get stuck. Okay. Check this one out. And it's bauxite. We don't quite know what that one is yet, so what we'll do is build another one down here. Okay. Oh, don't tell me that one got stuck as well. These are obviously got collision on, which is a bit of a pain. So let's sort that out right this minute. Now, does this have collision on? Ah, it's these things here. So they've got block all dynamic. So we'll switch off collision here. Okay, and once we've switched off collision, we shouldn't have this issue anymore. It's not ideal for now, but we'll work with it. Right. So let's send our probes out again. And we should be able to send out a few probes at once now. Not that you're going to be able to do this in the game, but for testing purposes. Right, so we have our first mine and we have our second mine. Now this should not get blocked, and it did. Actually, there it goes. Okay. So, yeah, that's copper ore, that's bauxite. Need to find out what this one is, and this one is, let's see what we got. Copper ore. So we've got copper here, and we've got copper here, so we really want copper here. And of course it's not copper. There was nothing surer there than that was never going to be copper. Okay, so what we can do right? And we'll do one final one, let's say here. And once we do that, I can check with that, it's copper. Okay, we've got our thing. So now what we can do is we can put our combiner here, then we can spin it round. That's all good. And then we're going to have a splitter which, let's say there, then we're going to spin that around, then we're going to have a conveyor belt that goes from here to here, and I was absolutely convinced that that wasn't going to work. And that is obviously a strange one. I'm going to check on that you can go straight from one into the other, right? But point being that now we can build our two refineries. Right? And I think from the rather obvious, we need some sort of markers on these where the in and where the out are for the player in this instance. Okay, so I'm pretty sure the in is here. So basically we want them facing the same way. And now what we can do is if we build there, and we can now build from here. Okay, and then what we can do is we can put a combiner in here, and then we can spin it around oh, how come? Okay, so for some reason right? And now we can build from here to here, and if we spin this around, we can connect those, and then well, that's an issue. Right, now what we can do, oh no, I've blew it. I've blew it. Darn it. I'm an idiot. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. I wonder if that'll work. Okay, so what I need to do now is, well, the first thing we need to do is change these on the cant. We can't. So the first thing we need to actually do is that is bauxite, so that's okay. So what we'll do is connect that, and then that's a bauxite, and that's a copper ore, that's copper ore, that's a copper ore, that's a bauxite. Okay, so in this case, let's have a look. Right, so it comes out there, that's fine. That's fine. That's copper ore. And that's bauxite, right? So what we need to do now is bring this one out here. that goes in there. So let's see what happens. And I do believe it's working. Hey Mafia RTX, how you doing, mate? So here we are basically giving an example. Let's in the meantime add workers. So I've added a lot of workers, okay? So our speed should stay up. And now we have, this is our combiner, right? Yeah, well, that's kind of the plan usually, isn't it? Well, prefer to trust in myself, mate. I don't really think God's going to have anything to do with it, but, you know, believe in what you want. Right, so we have our combiner, and then we have it splitting into our two refineries, right? And then our refineries are going into this combiner again, which is basically now feeding into our warehouse. So we now have working combiners, we have working splitters, our miners are working, everything's working. Quite frankly, this is shocking. To be fair, everything's working. The whole game is working. I don't believe it. I mean, I knew certain parts that were working, but hey ho. Now, there's a couple of things. I'm going to fix that. I'm going to have to fix this. See this flashing thing? That is doing my head in. Right, I think that's what we're going to fix next. But as you can see, guys, we are creating stuff from stuff. We are combining it, or splitting it. No, actually we're combining it here. Then we're splitting it, right? And then we're splitting it to two different factories who are creating the same thing. And then this is recombining them into one. And then this is all going into the warehouse, which actually goes into my personal inventory. And if we look in here at, I think it's actually number 4. Right, if we look at number 4, you can see that value is going up rather quickly. And it's all happening in the game design. So we can see this in action. If I hit that, and then we sell all our ore, we now have 530 space credits. Our iron ore will start to go up again. And I don't think that's refreshing in real time. So if we do that, we're up to 48. Okay. And that is a beautiful thing. That, my friends, is a beautiful thing. I should have switched on. Does anybody know how you switch on FPS from the live screen. I'm going to check it in Google. Switch on FPS Unreal Engine 4 shortcut. Let's have a look. What we can do is hit the tilde and then type stat f p f FPS. We ain't getting great frames per second, guys. So we are going to have to do some optimization, I do believe. Now there are a few things that I've noticed that are on tick, so those are going to have to come off tick, absolutely. But we are going to have a look at this, because that ain't good. Not at this particular point in time. Anyway, it's an hour into the stream. We're going to have a break for a cigarette and a drink, and we shall be back just shortly. So stay around, guys, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Okay, we're back and checking the frame rate here, because if you guys can see the frame rate, it's at 40 frames per second, which is not exactly good. Now, what we can do is find out what's on tick, because that is going to destroy our frame rate, and we do not want that. Right? And I believe the dumb splitter, I think it was the dumb splitter, had something on tick. This return direction thing. Yeah. So that ain't a good idea. We'll save that. So what we could actually do here is we can check. So this is giving us 80 frames a second at the moment. Now this is actually, I'm thinking this is because it's because of this texture. Okay, now let's actually see what's killing our frame rate. If it is what we think it is, or it's something completely different. So our frame rate looks okay at this point. We're hitting mid-70s, which you would kindly expect. Okay. And now if we add another, that's bauxite, which is cool. Okay. And we're probably going to need a third at this point, so let's just do that right here and now. And here's our other dude coming. So there's no change to our frame rate at the moment, okay? So I'm only going to surmise here that the problem isn't it certainly isn't. So that's copper ore, right? This one's bauxite, we know that. This one's copper ore. Okay. And then what we'll do is we're not allowed to do two at the same time, which is kind of the point. So I'm hoping that this bottom one's copper ore as well. Okay. So let's see how this goes. We have our bottom one here. Our frame rate is still what we expect it to be. And that's bauxite, so that is annoying. And this one's copper ore. Okay, so we've got two copper ores here. And now if we put down a combiner, okay, and then we can rotate it. And if we build a refiner, and we can rotate that, and now the dog's getting upset about something. So we shall pull that off from there. And go with that. Okay. And then we shall pull this off. Well, we need to do this first, of course. That goes into there. And then, so we're still on good frame rate. Everything's still good as far as the frame rate goes here. Our frame rate's still okay. And it's still okay. Okay. So as far as we can see, our frame rate is not tanking because of this. It's dropping down now. It seems to be because of the combiner. Okay. Whatever the combiner's doing, it seems to be that that's causing us the issue. Okay. So we're still at 60. So the line between here and here is fine. It's when we connect the combiner that we have an issue. And I do believe that we actually selected the wrong thing. We did copper ore when we should have done You see, this should delete all the splines. So I'm kind of convinced that there's something going on in the combiner that is doing we're certainly doing a cast. Yep, that's fine. Is there anything on event tick here? I mean, I don't think so, because I try to avoid that like the plague. Okay. So we add the product to the input. Okay. So this is not good. This part here is not good. Okay, we're not happy with this loop here. I'm not 100% sure how we get rid of this. We are doing a break. So, in theory, interesting. Right. Okay. So our comp input is fine, I would say. So what we need to do is have a look at our comp output. Right, so let's have a look at our comp output. And let's see what that's doing. It's running in ones per second. and then it's outputting right, so that's fine. Let's see what this does, right? So we're outputting from storage. So we check that we've got an output spline and that spline is complete, right? And if that's true, it checks for the array. Okay, let's see what it does for each of these. This kind of isn't what it should do. And it spawns the output object. Right? So the input, the comp input, well, the miner doesn't have a comp input, right? But the combiner should have a comp input and a comp output. So we've got the comp input connector and the comp output connector. Yeah, fair enough. So we have, I'm going to have to look deeper into this. In the meantime, let's sort a couple of other little issues out, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our base building, right? And we're going to go to the viewport and we're going to add a plane. Okay. And it's going to be plane highlight. Right, well, it's not going to be high. It's going to be highlight. Okay. And scale is going to be 4. It's going to be 8. Let's try 12, 15. 15 is about right. Right, So we'll call it 15 by 15. And then we'll unlock that. That's going to be 1. In fact, it's pretty much going to be 16 by 16. So it covers the outside there. Now that's a lot better. So next thing is it's going to overlap all. We're going to save that, right? And then we're going to check this. And this we're going to say on begin cursor over and on end. Okay, and we're actually going to use this as the two things that set these, the render depth, etc. So we're going to set that, and we're going to set that, and we're going to break these two, and that, and that, and that, and save that. Then we're going to play that. And now when we build a building, hopefully, stop it just now. And our plane highlight is going to be hidden in game. Play that. Play that. Okay. Come on. And apparently our plane doesn't want to work. Okay, so we'll stop that, right? And everything else seems okay. So let's look at our platform mesh. And it says block all. So we're going to say no collision. And then our building mesh. We're going to set that to no collision for now. Okay, and then try play again. And we shall take it from here. we might need to do something slightly different with that, but hey ho. Right, so none of these are actually working now. So that's ideal. So the highlight, it would appear that if we set this to block all, right, that this would work. Maybe. Never ends up the way of things, but yeah. Okay. Well, it certainly does work better. I'll give it that. What I would say is the best way to do this might be to do these two, the building mesh and what am I making? Well, Jordan, I am making a mix between Factorio, Satisfactory, Surviving Mars, and a little bit of RimWorld. So we can bring these back in here, save that, right? And we shall go with that. Would you like a preview? So if we press play, go to there, right? And we fire our probes at the ground. Now this is going to... Oh, that's good, Jordan. Hope you've got a project for yourself that you're working on and making progress on. What's your project about? Or are you just learning at the moment, so you haven't really got a sort of an idea yet for your project, let's say? I need to check what this is. Okay, and apparently I've broke everything. Alright, truck simulator. Okay, any twist on it that you've put? Right, so we need to check for the clicked on here. Which is now going to be on the plane as well. So it's kind of on begin cursor over. It's going to be clicked on, isn't it? It's current game mode. Right, so find the references for this. And I'm guessing this is an FE controller, right? And it's a callback to base building. Right, let's have a look at here. So here's the left click. And this is only if it's add to spline. Right, so we can basically forget that. Right. And that's the selected item. Right, so yeah, same to you, Jordan. Thanks for the kind words. Right, so we want base building. Right, so I'm guessing it's minor, right? And it's actually the minor itself. Because obviously so that's set process, and here we go. This is the event clicked on. So the building mesh and we're obviously going to have the plane let's have a look here. So we're going to have on clicked for the plane highlight. This is going to have to be set everywhere now because it does. Because these all kind of do different things. But hey ho, it solves the other problem of it flashing all the time, so I'm quite happy with that. So this will basically go in here for the minor, and then we can test it. So we shall fire our probes. That's the other thing I'm going to fix in between, or maybe even tonight, but for now we'll carry on. And we'll have to wait until it's activated. And there we go. So that's fine. stop that for now. And I think on that, it's been a quiet afternoon. And I think we'll finish off there. I'm going to add these little things to the other blueprints for the other buildings. But that's not really going to make for a good stream, so I'm going to call it a day or an afternoon at that. And I shall see you all at 8 PM. Bye bye for now.